Alrighty, so we're going to start off now by looking at section 2.2, which is more, this is actually what the name is, more on functions and their graphs. Alright, more on functions and their graphs. So this is how we're going to start looking at these functions. So first thing we're going to do is take a look at this graph here. We've got it going from -2, hello kitty, -2 to 1, and then from 1 to 3, and then from 4 to 1, and then out to 7 and 1. So this is our graph. It's going to go up to here and down to here. Ooh, that was bad. Sorry. Up to here and down to here and across to there. This is just not pretty. And across that way. All right? So now here's the deal. Whenever you read a function, whenever you look at a graph, you always want to look at the graph going from left to right. So read from left to right. Now, me having told you that, I'm going to ask you 3 questions about this graph. I'm going to say, where is this graph increasing? And I'm going to say, where is this graph decreasing? And where is this graph going to be constant? Okay? So not really maybe knowing anything about this, if you're just going to look at this, think about, well, when would this be increasing? When would I think this would be increasing? If I'm reading it from left to right, increasing, if I'm reading from left to right, when am I going uphill? That kind of makes sense, right? Increasing, going uphill. So a little skier guy who's like, these are his ski things. And he's having a really tough time of it because it's uphill. That's a terrible skier. Anyways, if I'm increasing, I'm going uphill along this line right here. I'm going up. I'm increasing. Does that make sense? I'm going up. Remember, we're always reading from left to right. So now when am I going downhill? Ooh, goodness. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Alrighty, so this is where we're going to be going, excuse me, going up, going downhill. So when we're decreasing, this is where we're going downhill. So if you look at our graph going from left to right, we're going downhill here. Going downhill along this pathway right here. And this is where our little ugly skier guy with his little thingies, whatever. I don't know, I've never been skiing. He's super happy. He says, yay! Okay. So he's super happy because he's going downhill. So that's how you can think of it. Going uphill, going downhill. Ooh. And constant. Constant is also kind of what it sounds like. Constant stays, ooh, goodness gracious, constant. I'm making a mess. Can you help me with this? No. Anyway, I'm getting all distracted. Come back. Constant is when we're going off. Constant, just like it sounds. Going off to the left. Okay? Constant. We're not moving. Our little dude is not happy because his life is boring. So here we're decreasing. And here we're constant. Okay? Constant, flat line. Okay? Now here are your rules. So the first rule is, first of all, that's not an A at all. First of all, always read from left to right. Okay? Always read from left to right. Second rule, how do I say this? We are always going to use or always refer to the X values. And when we're talking about this, we're going to be using interval notation So for interval notation, we're going to say always use parentheses. Okay? Always use parentheses. So we'll talk about why in a second. But here, whenever we're increasing, we're going uphill, we're always going to refer to the x value. So since we're reading from left to right, we're reading along the x-axis, right? We're reading along the x-axis. So what we're saying is, along the x-axis, from -2 all the way to 1, along this line from -2 all the way to 1, from -2 all the way to 1, oops, I already did that. Let me try this again. From -2 all the way to 1, that's where we're increasing, from -2 to 1. So in our interval notation, thank you, Kevin, from -2 to 1 is where we're going to be increasing, okay? So that's how we do that. Now for decreasing, again, we're going to look at the x values. I'm decreasing from 1, that was my toddler, not me. We're going to be decreasing from 1 to 4. And again, we're comparing this with parentheses. And then finally, for constant, we're going from the x value 4 to the x value 7. So we're going from 4 to 7. And again, we're going to use parentheses there. Okay, so finally, we're going to talk about why we're using these parentheses instead of brackets. Because normally, or not normally, but you know, we've talked about using brackets, right? And what brackets mean is, brackets mean equal sign, right? They mean we can use that point. But that's not what we want to do here. If you think about it, whenever we're sitting here at our point right here, so say we, instead of putting a parenthesis here, that we got rid of that, and instead we put a bracket. Well, then what we're saying is that we're actually increasing at the value of 1. And that's actually not correct. Because think about it. If you're at 1 right here, say you put a little marble right here. So say you've got a little marble right here. If you've got a marble perfectly balanced, is it going to go up or down? I mean, is it going to go to the left or is it going to go to the right? It's not going to go anywhere because it's perfectly balanced. And that's kind of the point, is that we're not going to include the actual points of transition. So there's a couple of ways to think about it. One way is to think about it as a marble that is perfectly balanced. Another way to think about it is that it's a transition point. And since it's a transition point, we're not actually going to include that. And because of that, we're going to use the parentheses there. So that ought to get you started.